Hello Muskogee Nation of Oklahoma, welcome to the Culinary Kitchen. My name is Jason Champagne. I'm chef owner of Native Chef LLC, and I'm so happy you're taking time to watch this video. Today we're going to be doing a really fun recipe. It's cilantro lime grilled chicken with asparagus and squash saute. So there's a lot to do here. We're going to get to prepping and again kind of have to look at the recipe and realize what needs to get started first, and that'll be the marinade for the chicken. So we'll get started on that. Okay, first off, the chicken breasts, they're about 8 ounces each, and you can find 4 ounce, 5 ounce, 8 ounces. These are the bigger ones, and all I've done is I've just trimmed the fat from them the best I could, most of the fat, and then I took my palm and I smashed them out, because sometimes you can get a real thick end and then a real thin end, and what happens is by the time the thick end cooks, the thin end's overcooked. So using your palm, getting a good forearm workout, you can actually flatten these to the thickness that I have. Okay, I've removed the chicken to a bowl here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some ingredients to that. I'm going to chop up some garlic, but I'm also going to chop out some extra garlic that I can use for the saute later. So the way I basically did these is I took the back of my chef knife and I smashed them. If you're not safe with the knife, then use the back of a frying pan and just smash them. So I'm just going to cross chop, and then I'm going to cross this way, and then just finally mince this garlic. Next up, I'm going to chop up some cilantro, and I'm going to do, I don't want to be cutting up cilantro again, so I'm going to do some now for the marinade, and then I'm going to do some for the garnish at the end. So I'm just going to cross chop this ways, and then I'm going to get it into a pile and just cross chop very quickly this way. Just a rough chop, doesn't need to be really fine. We're going to add some to the chicken for a marinade, and then again we're going to use some for a garnish later on. Okay, next up what I want to do is I want to take the zest of a lime, about a teaspoon of a lime. So basically this is a grater, so you have to be careful when using this. It's easy to slip and put your knuckles across it. If you don't have one of these, use your box grater, but just in doing this technique, be careful. I like to put a paper towel down to capture the zest, that way that I'm not, I don't have to scrape it up very much, but all you do is you just rub it down, turn, rub, turn, rub, turn. And what we're doing is we're getting that skin off, and that's what we want. You don't want to go too deep, because if you get down to the white part, it becomes really sour. We only need about a teaspoon. And take your time when you're doing this. This adds a tremendous flavor to marinades, but it's definitely something to get used to. Just don't jump into it and start doing it. Practice and make sure you're safe with it. So then I'll knock it off into my paper towel. We only need about a teaspoon. And this will go into our marinade. Okay, so I've got the garlic, the cilantro, and the lime zest. One thing I forgot to tell you about the lime zest is after you're done with that grater, wash it off and rinse it, because if you don't and you let that harden, it's a nightmare to get clean, and then that's where accidents happen trying to clean it. Okay, so whenever you see a dash in a recipe, that's usually about 1/8 of a teaspoon. They say a dash of salt, dash of pepper. That's what I have. We're trying to minimize the amount of salt we put in the chicken by the fresh flavors we're adding. Okay, so basically add a dash, salt and pepper, and a little under a tablespoon of olive oil. And then the juice of half of 1 lime. Okay, you don't want to marinate with lime or lemon or any type of really acidic juice overnight, because what happens is after about 2 hours the acidity will turn the chicken white, and you don't want that. It's a really offsetting color. So when we marinate with this stuff, we're going to let this go for about 20 minutes. If you let it go any longer, don't go over 2 hours. And we're just going to really mix all this in really well, and then we're going to let this marinate, like I said, for about 20 minutes, and then we'll get it on the grill. Okay, I'm going to start getting the veggies cut up while the chicken's marinating. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this bell pepper in half. I tuck my thumb right behind that green part, pull it out, get rid of all the seeds. I always have a little trash bowl over here. So we just want to remove the seeds and the innards, those inner white parts. Next up, I'm going to cut the tips off, and then I'm going to cut these little white pieces out in the middle. Get rid of those. And then I want to cut these into about inch pieces. They don't have to be exact, but I cut the ends off, ends into 3 pieces. Cut this directly right in half. Uniform pieces, they don't have to be exact. Next up, I want to cut up the asparagus for this dish, and I've already cut the tips off. There's about 1 inch off here that I cut. It's that woody stem part that's really hard to chew. And then instead of just cross-cutting like this, I kind of turn my knife and then I layer them at an angle and I cut them on a bias. And these are about 1 inch piece long. Next up, I want to cut up a zucchini, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim the edges off. Sometimes you find them in the places with a few marks, scuff marks on them. You can just simply take those off. Nothing wrong with them. They're just a little bit scuffed right there in that area. And we'll take those off. And then what I'm going to do is this narrow part right here, I'm just going to trim those into about 1/4 inch pieces. And then once I get to this thicker part, I'm going to cross cut it like that. And I'm going to turn my knife on a bias just a tad. And then we're going to make 1/4 inch pieces. Next up, I just want to cut some red onion, about half a red onion, and I just cut it right in half, and then I'm just going to go similar size pieces as the bell pepper. So chunky, and then kind of break them up with your fingers. Okay, I'm going to quarter these baby portobello mushrooms. All I did was I just took a paper towel. And I don't want to wash these. They soak up water like a sponge, and then they release it in your dish, and it becomes really, really soupy. So just take a paper towel and wipe them down really good. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to quarter these. And then last, with the knife cuts, I'm going to go ahead and cut up some fresh basil, and we won't have to use as much salt with using the fresh citrus juices and basil. So find the biggest piece, can tear off a few of the stems, and then wad all of them into the middle, roll it up like a cigar, and then I'm just going to cross cut very, very, very thinly. And then once I get it all cut, I just cross chop this way. So you can see the chicken is really marinating pretty well here. It's been about 20 minutes, so I preheated my grill to 450, and you always try to want to do things, try to limit your time in the kitchen as best you can. So I started preheating this while I was cutting up those vegetables. So utilize your time correctly. I'm just going to quickly spray it with pan spray, and I'm going to get these on the grill. And what we want to do is we're going to get some nice cross marks. So I'm going to put it at I guess you could say one tip at 2 o'clock. And then once we turn them, we'll put them at 10 o'clock. But we want to get these nice cross marks on them. I'm talking about getting these cross marks. So I'm going to take it from 2 o'clock and then turn to 10 o'clock. From 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And then we'll let them cook another 3 minutes or so. Okay, these chicken breasts have been going for about 8 minutes, and it's going to vary on cooking time on the size of your chicken, okay? Some of you might get, like this recipe might call for 4-ounce portions, right? These are not 4-ounce portions, these are 8-ounce portions. So different recipes are going to be different. These are a little bit thicker, so they're going to take longer. And then it also depends on how hot your grill is. This is an indoor grill versus maybe you're doing one on an outdoor that's a little bit higher a temp or a little bit lower. So the best way to check these is to look on the side. Whenever they're usually turning opaque white halfway through on the side, that's when you know you want to flip them. And then the ultimate best way to check the temperature is using the food thermometer. So this is the markings that I wanted to get, these cross grill marks, and we're going to let these go for a while. And it smells great, that natural flavors of the citrus juices, lime juices, that lime zest, and olive oil, and really, really great recipe. Okay, so again, it's going to vary on cooking time. I've checked them with the thermometer. They're ready to go. So I'm going to transport these to a plate and let them rest, and then we'll get started on cooking our vegetable sauté. Okay, so if you notice with a lot of my dishes, I use colors, right? That's how I kind of put dishes together. I have a green, red, purple, yellow, brown. So a lot of times when you cook, just look at different colors, like a plate, like a painting or something. You want different colors to catch people's eyes. So I preheated the pan here, and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of oil, olive oil, and I'm going to coat it really good. And I have these laid out in order of how I'm going to put them in the pan. So it's going to start from here and then go this way. So first off, I'm going to put the item that needs to cook the longest, and that's going to be the asparagus. I want to get it on a single layer, okay? And then I'm going to add the bell peppers on top. I'm going to cover for about 2 minutes. Okay, so after a couple minutes, we're done with the cover. I'm just going to go ahead and give them a quick toss. And then I'm going to add the red onion and the zucchini. And the mushrooms. I'm just going to let these cook uncovered for about 2 minutes. Okay, so whenever we're cooking like this, what's happening is the asparagus, whatever's below the mushrooms and squash, it's being cooked because steam is rising. Okay, and that's what we're doing. We're partially cooking everything on top, and we're getting a really good, nice color and char on the asparagus and bell peppers, hopefully some of the bell pepper. So what I'm going to do now, after it's been about 2 minutes, I'm going to give it a good quick stir. I'm going to add the garlic. I'm going to add the basil. I'll give it another toss. And we'll let it go for about another minute or two. Okay, so it's been about a minute and a half. I'm going to give it another toss, and I'm going to add a dash of salt and pepper. And then I'm going to add some fresh lime juice. Juice of 1/2 of a lime. One more toss. And then we'll plate it. And then we'll slice the chicken breast and put it right on top. Okay, the chicken breast, you want to make sure any meat that you cook or grill or whatever, you want to let it rest. And this has been resting for about 7 minutes. And that's perfect. It allows the juices to settle in it. And instead of just cross-cutting down straight, I'm going to cut at a bias angle so that I get these nice pieces exposing those nice grill marks that we took time to get. And then plating. We simply take our chicken breasts, layer them right on top like this. Take some of this leftover juice that came out of the chicken, pour it right on top. And then earlier when I chopped up some extra cilantro, what I did was I put it in a paper towel so to allow it to dry. It's much easier to sprinkle after you do that. We'll take some fresh cilantro and use it as a garnish right on top. Really healthy and easy meal. Try to do this one. I try to eat this at least once a week. Well, that does it for this recipe. Pretty easy. Again, just remember with the varying cooking temperatures on the chicken breast, again, the easiest way to know if it's cooked is with the food thermometer. So if you watch the Kitchen Essentials, that was one of them. And just a whole lot of flavor, minimal salt. It's not sodium free, but it's minimal. So we're trying to use fresh citrus juices, citrus lime, zest, and fresh basil, so fresh herbs, and colors. The way I look at my cooking is I try to look at it like a blank canvas, right? So instead of using paint, we're using food as art. And the simple garnish on top is what makes it really pop. Really easy, you guys. I hope you do this at home. Me, I try to do it once a week. This is a great step into getting all those nutrients and vitamins we need from vegetables, and a really easy dish to accomplish. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day and stay safe. Miigwech.